Hi, I'm Caleb Hanson, leader of the Hanson Homes Team here at Keller Williams Realty. We've been talking about the home buying process and, in particular, what happens after you finally got a deal. Well, one of the things that's going to happen is if you're using a loan, then the lender is going to order an appraisal for you. And an appraisal is a professional opinion on the value of a property based on recent sales of similar properties and overall market trends. Now, your standard California contract for buying a home includes an appraisal contingency, which says you can cancel if the home doesn't appraise for the agreed sale price. So check out the video regarding contingencies for some more details on what that means. The appraisal serves a couple of purposes. Lenders generally lend a certain percentage of appraised value. This protects them against lending too much on a particular property. It also provides a second professional opinion of market value on top of the one that we provide you via our market analysis. If you're using a loan, it's important to understand how the appraised value impacts the maximum amount of your loan. For example, let's say you could buy a home for $500,000 and your loan program says you can borrow 90%, which means you could expect to put 10% down plus your closing costs. If you expect the lender will be providing $450,000 and you'll provide $50,000 to purchase the home, and then you'll have a little bit of closing costs on top of that, that would be pretty standard, right? If it only appraises for $480,000 though, that means the lender will only loan you 90% of the $480,000, which is $432,000. Well, that's $18,000 less than you were initially expecting. So, if the lender is only bringing $432,000 on that $500,000 purchase price, that means that your down payment went up to $68,000, assuming you leave that same price. So, not the $50,000 you initially expected. So, what do you do now? Well, this is called an appraisal gap, and you could respond to it a few ways. One of the options is to ask the seller to reduce the price to the appraised value, or at least a price that keeps your down payment the same. You might increase your down payment to cover the shortfall by bringing in some additional cash. You might switch to a loan program that allows for a larger percentage of appraised value. So in our example, you might switch from a 90% of appraised value loan program to a 95% program. Sometimes that's referred to as the loan to value ratio. So you might go from a 90% loan to value ratio to a 95% loan to value ratio. Another thing that sometimes happens is if the appraisal seems sloppy, you might contest the appraised value as a way of showing the seller that you're doing what you can to create a win-win. Or you might choose to use a combination of these options. So it's very negotiable. If it's impossible for you to find something that's a win for you that also works for the seller, then you can cancel using that appraisal contingency. So the leverage is you can tell the seller, hey, I'm going to cancel if you don't do X for me regarding the appraisal. And the seller always has the option to say, hey, pay the price that you agreed, or we'll find another buyer. But most of the time, sellers are going to negotiate some in a situation like that because odds are pretty good that the next buyer is going to be using a loan and that they're going to get an appraisal too, and that seller might end up back in that same situation again. So if you're making a reasonable proposal, then there are really good reasons for that seller to work with you on it and figure something out. As always, if you have questions about this or anything else real estate related, feel free to give me a call or shoot me a text message. My cell phone number is 909-576-0695, and I look forward to connecting soon.